Marshmallow Fanboy back with another review, this time of Marvel Legends Spider-Man multi-pack. It's an Amazon exclusive, comes with Spider-Man and all of the villains you see here. Most of them are, I think, 70s or 80s villains. I don't think any of them are really currently threatening. Maybe Silvermane, but we got Silvermane. Of course, Silvermane's usually in a kind of suit and tie, so you don't really see, the full cybernetic body, but it's happened. Marvel's Human Fly, the Molten Man, and Razorback. Now, the Spider-Man, according to the Marvel Legends team, the Spider-Man is on the Child Buck. It's a smaller figure, and it's more in keeping with him being a teenager. And they said it was more the Ultimate Universe look, where he had the symbiote for a hot minute. So he's a kid. He's smaller with the symbiote, and it's supposed to be sort of a dark purple color, not sort of completely black, to sort of match the aesthetic of the Ultimate Universe. Now, I don't think that the Human Fly or the Molten Man or Razorback or Silvermane were represented in the Ultimate Universe. I'm not absolutely sure. So it's a little bit of a mismatchy thing. I would have loved to have had some maybe Ultimate Universe figures to go with that had a little bit of points of differentiation. And I don't know what exactly I would have done, but we've already gotten an Ultimate. Of course, we got the Ultimate Captain America after we got this multi-pack. I'm just doing this out of order. I just got it in 2024 after sort of waiting for it to go down in price. But gosh, I think they already announced an Ultimate Iron Man, but I loved like maybe an Ultimate Hulk or Ultimate Punisher, somebody else from the Ultimate Universe. Just 5 other characters that might have been easy sort of repaints. But you're giving us an Ultimate character with 4 sort of 70s, 80s characters, which for the deep cuts collectors, man, that's super appreciated. The 4 villains are from the 70s and 80s, if I remember right. I don't think any of them are currently threatening Spider-Man, except, like I said, Silvermane pops up every so often. But it is really cool to have them. It's really cool to have a set with sort of a theme that makes you go, I don't know. And then they're not putting out different versions of villains. They're putting out villains we haven't gotten in the line before. So we haven't gotten Razorback or Silvermane, or I'm just going to keep saying the names, aren't I? Okay, so the package is kind of enormous, but it has sort of the cool artwork on the side. And on the other side, it has just the cool artwork on the side again. And on the back, of course, a real short description. It's multilingual, so you can see the different things, but little short histories to get you up to speed. But nothing really else to it. Just this. So the comic book art on the front, I think that's Ryan Stegman. I think I recognize the kind of the Stegosaurus little pattern in the signature. Pretty sure the artwork is great. I wish that the villains had been sort of in attack mode and Spider-Man had been dodging so that everybody looks strong on the cover. And instead it's, hey, it's Spider-Man and the 4 losers he webs up with and then swings away from. It sort of makes the villains look real weak. But the artwork is really good and the colors are really nice. It's really nice comic book artwork. It's just, I wish the villains had looked a little stronger and were kind of using their powers. Molten Man maybe shooting a blast at him, and Human Fly taking a swing in midair while Razorback is trying to run at him or where he thinks he might go next. And Silvermane maybe looks like he's giving orders because they're probably all working for Silvermane anyway. He's a mob boss, if you guys didn't know. So let's take this thing out of the package and let's take a closer look at the Spider-Man multi-pack. Now that they're out of package, let's take a closer look at the Spider-Man 5-pack from Amazon. Now, I'm not going to go over the articulation. I'm letting you know that up front in case you're here for articulation. You're thinking, how far back does the fly's arm go? The human fly's arm go? We're not going to go over that. We're just going to go over them in general. And I'm going to absolutely start with all of the bad guys. And starting with the human fly, because I already name dropped him. Because, why wouldn't I? He's the human fly. So the human fly has a screaming face. So I tried to get him in a pose that showed him is sort of extremely emotional. He came with a backpack, and the wings plug into the backpack. There's kind of a little, what would you call them? Little pins, and that went in really nice. I had to flip them around to go in correctly, but once I did, and I'm not sure if that was just me not aiming correctly, and they could go on either way. Like this one could go on this one could go on that one, and I just had them the wrong way, or I'm not sure. But if you get a little resistance or they're tough to put on, just switch the wings around and see if that doesn't solve everything. So these are on the old buck. It looks like double pin legs, double pin elbows, and the ab crunch, kind of a dead giveaway. Plus the weight of the legs is real stable. It's real heavy. It's good enough to hold him up, and it's good enough to hold up, any character kind of like him, where there's a lot of weight on him. So the paint is really nice. The yellow and the dark green with the red eyes. I don't know if the Scream is specifically from one comic book or anything, but it is really, it's the human fly. I mean, he's really recognizable. And of course, just like most of this wave, it's, except for maybe Silvermane, it's repaints, and that's fine. They're giving us new characters. They're giving us characters we haven't seen before. And I think the human fly, this might be the very first time the human fly's ever gotten an action figure, which is probably appropriate. There's no real demand except for us who are like, I was reading those comics in the 80s and they were awesome. And I was, and they were. So the wings, I can articulate them a little bit. Go down about this far, go up about that far, and that's it. But that's still a lot of posability. It's a lot of playability too. Looks very cool doing that, but I pose him a little midway. I didn't get him up all the way because I thought it looks more like looks a little weird. But I left the fists on, but he does come with two kind of opener. I don't know if that's a word. Open hands. They're not trigger hands. They're like holding hands, like I'm holding a bat. The fingers don't do the trigger thing. I left the fists on because I like the fists on better than I do the open hands, and he's not holding anything, so good enough. And that is the human fly. I'm going to put him over here. I'm going to go with Molten Man. Molten Man has essentially a Human Torch sort of flame effect setup with, it could have been a Johnny Storm Human Torch body, but it looks like Iceman's body. For whatever reason, it just looks like Iceman from the butterfly joints and everything else. And of course, a double pin elbows, double pin knees, which is completely fine because this figure is heavy and real sturdy, stands up. I don't know why people don't like the double pin joints or anything. I can tell that they're not new, yes, and I can tell that they're reuse, absolutely, but it's a new head, or maybe that's a Harry Osborn. I'm not sure. He's grimacing. It could be. But you take these off, and they're flame effects from the Human Torch wave. I don't know if the Human Torch was exclusive. One of them was. The Flame On one was something, and there's been a couple of Human Torches. But the hands, you can see the flame effects are on the hands. So he comes with two more hands that don't have flame effects on them. They're both fists. So you could put those on, and then you could put the flame effects around the fists. But I did like putting the flame effects around the open hand with the flame effect already on it and the flame effect on the back of his hand, because I thought that looked kind of cool. But that is Molten Man. Molten Man's pretty straightforward. This could be the Silver Surfer body. It could be anything. But it's good to have a Molten Man. It's good to have all the characters. Especially if you're a huge fan and you're getting these because you're a big comic book fan and you wanted these guys in 3D sculpt and you wanted villains. Man, you got villains. It's villains galore. Thank you, Amazon, for the villains galore. How about Silvermane? Silvermane has, I don't know if it's got to be a brand new sculpt, right? Can't be any reuse on that. It comes with a kind of a shotgun and a giant pistol. It comes with 2 fists, which I don't have on him because why would you when he comes with 2 giant guns? 2 giant guns wins. But all this really cool sculpting, which kind of reminds me of Pretty Boy from the Reavers a little bit. The only reason I say that is because, Pretty Boy is all cybernetic also with a human head. That's the only kind of similarities they have, really. Pretty Boy's more sort of basic, and Silvermane looks like, he's high-end electronics. Lots of striation, like he's, kind of Ultron or something, but it's a really cool, like I remember Silvermane tangling with Spider-Man and Cloak and Dagger and just being big in the pages of Spider-Man. The shotgun is cool. I don't remember if I'm sure he used weapons, but I'm not sure if he used real weird giant weapons. I'm sure he did because they come with the figure and the Marvel Legends team likes to kind of go for accuracy. And I'm not going to throw in 2 guns just for the heck of it. That's extra money. And that doesn't seem like a good use of the money. He's got the feet that are sort of Nightcrawler-y. Electronic feet. Not saying that's a reuse of Nightcrawler, but it's really cool. I'm not going over the articulation, but the shine on the striation is sort of a duller metal. It's shiny because it's shiny, but on the actual silver, kind of in the middle and sort of on the gauntlets and things, the things that are covering the striations look like they are silver and they look like they're shining. Of course, they're not vac metal or anything like that, but there is a difference in the color. Those really nice paint hits. The expression's really nice. He's a grizzled old guy that you kind of sort of take for granted, and then suddenly, his coat is off and he's a cyborg and he's got, I don't remember if he had weapons, but just being a cyborg is enough to tell you that you're about to get ripped apart piece by piece. And that's a no bueno, as I would say sometimes when I say no bueno. I didn't know how to land that plane. I never say no bueno. Okay. So Razorback is enormous compared to just regular figure like the Human Fly or regular figure like Molten Man. He's a good at least inch taller, which would probably make him 7 feet in the Marvel Universe, maybe. I'm not sure. Don't do the math on that because I don't want to do the math on that. But an inch and a half, I'm not sure. Actually, I have a ruler right here. Let me look real quick. I'm going to measure him to the top of his mane. Let's see. 8 inches tall compared to Molten Man being 6 and a quarter. See, Silvermane's posed out a little bit, but he's still 6 and a quarter. Human Fly is, holy smokes, about 6 and a quarter. What happened to these being 6.5 inch figures? And Spider-Man is on the kid buck. He comes in at 5 inches, but if he was fully stood up, he might be 5.5, 6 inches. So he'd still be a little bit shorter than everybody else, but Razorback is a beast. He comes in as a monster. I don't know if he started his life as a Build-A-Figure. I don't recognize the body. Oop, bumped the camera. I don't recognize the body. I don't recognize... I don't really study all the bodies or anything. Double pin elbows, double pin legs. Silvermane didn't have any pins in his legs or his arms. So I think it makes sense. Silvermane is probably brand new. and the rest of these guys are repaints that sort of justify having a new sculpt. The Razorback head is really nice. They had to have sculpted this from scratch, essentially. They had to say, hey man, we're going to put out a wave with Razorback and Molten Man and the Human Fly. We need updated heads, and we need a sort of a mask for Razorback. That looks really cool. And check. Looks really amazing for that. For Silvermane, they're like, we're going to need everything. All hands on deck. And the Marvel Legends team already said that they were using the Child Buck for the first time for Spider-Man. And the Child Buck is just a smaller body. It's not really I'm not sure who else. They said somebody else had this body, but maybe it was the Ultimate version of Spider-Man, the one with the backpack. It was released a long time ago. I didn't super realize it was smaller than everything else, but I don't know that I was paying much attention to that back then. So let me get just a good measurement on Spider-Man. Yeah, he's almost 6 inches. So everybody's 6.5 inches. They're still taller than he is. It's very cool. But as promised by the Marvel Legends team, and it was impossible to see on the packaging. The packaging was maddeningly frustrating. Or I was a little frustrated by the packaging because it didn't tell me what figures came with what accessories. So I think that Razorback is complete, but I searched everywhere to see if he had any extra hands or anything. Same with Spider-Man. I went to see if he had any extra hands or anything else in the package, and I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. So it's possible that they're in there. I'll have to do a little bit of research before I commit to throwing away the package, but it would be nice to know instantly if the figure is complete or not. And I'm not sure that this figure is complete, that it doesn't have extra hands or anything like that. So the spider is super sharp on the front, super sharp on the back. It's just what you would expect for Spider-Man, except in shiny purple. I don't know if I like shiny. If it was dark and kind of matte purple, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Shiny, I'm like, he looks like an award of some kind or something. But I love the big eyes. That's very classic. I love the logo. It's super classic. I like this figure a lot. And I like all of these figures. I think all of these figures have a place if you are collecting the comic books and you have a real sort of nostalgia for the 70s and 80s books, and you recognize a lot of these guys from them. And even though they didn't necessarily, make any kind of waves, or they weren't sort of in, as Silvermane was, but the rest of them weren't in real storylines that really kind of affected anything or anything long term. But they're really cool because they are canon. And I imagine that these guys pop up from time to time. If you need to take out a generic bad guy in the first 3 pages of your book because you're doing the Jim Shooter method, where you have to show a character's abilities or powers or who they are in the first 3 pages so that everybody knows who they are and what's going on and what the reality is and everything. So generally speaking, most comic books open with them beating on some generic bad guy of the week while thinking about something they have to do later in the issue, like solve a crime or, get to Aunt May's for dinner, something like that. I'm not sure what my point was, but these are good figures. They're good sculpting. Molten Man, you could probably, I don't know, it's a little like a Herald of Galactus, I guess. It's just kind of generic, it's a gold guy with some flame effects. And the Human Fly, I don't know anybody was clamoring for him. Razorback, though, with that head, and Silvermane with that body, holy cow. And online, the Ultimate Spider-Man, they're not calling him Ultimate, though. Just the Spider-Man from the Amazon 6-pack is going for $40 by himself. He's extremely popular on that Child Buck in the dark purple. I imagine it's because even if you don't want any of the villains, people all collect different versions of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's extremely popular, which I get, which is why, you know, if you put together a pack like this and you put a bunch of kind of generic characters in there, you're going to get a little bit of frustrated people going, you know, the only figure I want is this. Why can't I just buy that? And the truth is, you can go to Amazon and you can pay probably $20 for any of these guys except for Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's probably the one you wanted in the first place. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you about that, but I got the set. I like these figures a lot. And until next time, enjoy your toys.